What is up, FIFA Tiers? Welcome back to the Free Foot Tiers podcast with myself, LAJS, with Brad, and with Mers. How are you all doing this week?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, got a bit of a cough still, but not too bad.
Okay, so all in good spirits then. Going into Team of the Season. We've hit the real
Indeed.
bit of Team of the Season finally, with there being the Premier League, which was practically half of last week, but just forget about that. So we've actually got the real Premier League Team of the Season in front of us, in which someone we made a lot of jokes about actually made it in, didn't they? In a bit of Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
So whether that one's warranted, you hear some people try and justify it with saying the first half of the season he's got a whole bunch of contributions. I think it was 10 goals, 6 assists. That's off memory. If it's right, I'm really good. But then they also say that he's created the most chances in the league. I think it's the other one they sort of cling to. But it's one you don't really think of as deserving, honestly. What players are you most excited to see, and who are you hoping to pull if you've not already done your champs so far?
So, I have already pulled a couple, obviously, from pack opening. And they are both from my team, and one of them is actually said Bruno Fernandes himself. And yeah, like we said, we didn't think necessarily he was deserving. I don't think it's that he wasn't deserving on his stats. It's just that we maybe felt that others were more deserving to be in the vote. But then on top of that, because he's in the vote, fans, and let's face it, it is fans mostly that must have given us this card or whatever algorithms EA choose to pick a winner. He has found himself into the TOTS. The only problem with it is, and I am using him, I haven't noticed too many problems with him actually, to be fair. He's very good dribbling and he's not too bad considering of all the kind of TOTS that are out there, he has probably had the smallest kind of upgrade in terms of his card, like to his stats. So that obviously makes him a little bit, I wouldn't say off the pace of the game, but just incomparable to other Team of the Season cards, not quite as desirable. I certainly would like to try the Bernardo Silva because of his upgrade. But then I got Allison. He has now at the moment replaced my Schmeichel, and I am not disappointed. He is actually quite good, and you know me and goalkeepers, I don't say that. But he is his speed is very, very noticeable, especially when it comes to, and we all do this, when it comes to moving him out for a corner. He is very, very quick to get there. So, yeah, liking him a lot. Other than that, I haven't packed anyone else notable from there. And if I could choose one, I probably want obviously everyone was going to say Ronaldo, but my main one that I would like to try out is Team of the Season Son. The card looks disgusting, and I'm glad that he got one. But yeah, he looks insane. And if I could get one in red picks or in packs, then he's the guy I would want.
As for me, and I just want to say, the Allison speed is very interesting. What they've given him, 91 speed, like that reminds me of Okocha, the Mexican Ochoa. That's it, the Mexican goalkeeper when he used to have crazy speed on like his cards and stuff. But for myself, I've packed a few. I've packed Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes. I've got Bernardo Silva from my red picks, and I also got Rodri. If I had to pick one myself that I would like to maybe pack, probably Cancelo, because of how much I enjoyed him and his special cards in the early months of this game. So it would be nice to maybe have a special version, like the end game version, should I say, of him. But the one thing I did say is that, like last week, is I did say in some ways that upgrades don't seem to be as big on team seasons this year. And by the fact that Salah and Ronaldo aren't 98 cards and the 97s instead, seems to be in line with what I'm predicting, which is they want to leave a little bit more of a window between like the team of season cards and the end game 99 rated cards.
Like a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, basically, like they don't want to go in too crazy, like saying, okay, here's your 98s, your 99s, or something like that in team of the season, and there's still a few months left to go, and then you like, oh, but we still have to give out 99 rated cards, but those 99 rated cards have to look better than the other 99 rated cards that we released like a couple of months ago.
Pretty much, yeah. So that's why I'm probably going to retract my statement on Nkunku from last week with the 97. As much as it should be that, it's not going to be that. It's probably going to be 95 at this point, if we're being completely frank. My ones I've packed across my accounts, I should say. I've packed Declan Rice. From my first pack I opened on the account, I got Declan Rice, which is always nice. I got Bernardo Silva on both accounts, and that's pretty much it for my haul. I did get Ruben Diaz as a red on the main account, and who was the other one? Give me a second. The other one was Diogo Jota, who I've yet to try, but I do look forward to trying out.
Yeah, he's a player who, like, given his rating, like, was probably more sought after than some of those that are sort of 93, 95 rated to try out. He just looks... I think he's quite nice in game anyway, if anyone's used his numbers up card, and that he does seem quite nimble. So he does look like someone I would like. If I got him in my reds, like along with a 95 Ruben Diaz, then I'm probably going to take Jota because I want to try him out.
Yeah, that's understandable. You mentioned Bruno Fernandes. He's got a +1 on his Team of the Year honourable mentions card. And apart from that, it's a +4 or +3 on his highest rated actual other card, which is his Team of the Group Stage.
Yeah.
So it's not what you'd expect on Team of the Season. Normally we associate with, as we say, +5s, or if they're really high rated, maybe +4s. A +3 does feel like a bit of a letdown. Stat-wise, between the 92 and the 93, it is a big difference. There is, well, I say big difference. For one rating, it's a big difference. He gets +4, +3 in most stats, passing +1, +2 dribbling. But mainly in the other stats, he gets about a 3 or 4 boost. So they've tried to do a little bit, but it doesn't look like it means that much. And the fact it's 115k for a Bruno Fernandes card last year, you'd have dreamt of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine when I packed him, I thought I was onto a winner. But then I didn't see that. One of the things I expected that they might have done was given him an upgrade in the skill moves and weak foot area. That was what I was looking to see. So I think if that had been the case, then maybe we were looking at more of a 500,000 coin player. As I just get someone quit on me at 1-1 after I've just equalised. Oh, the community is so toxic. So yeah, I think that would have been what I'd like to see. If it had got a little bit of a boost there, I think then the card would have been more in the bounds of what I was thinking he was going to turn out to be. But it seems like maybe because they're not fully convinced about his inclusion as well, or whatever it might be. I think to have given him 4-star would maybe put him up a little bit more. But yeah, he's not big bucks. He is, like you say, 119,000 coins for a Bruno Fernandes Team of the Season. Who would have thought it?
Who would have thought it indeed? Talking of upgrades, though, there are two notable players that did get skill moves or weak foot upgrades, and that is the two main Liverpool front. Two of the main ones from the Liverpool front three. Mane ended up getting 5-star skills, which is why he's worth 2.6. And Salah's got 4-star now, going from his previous card being 4-star 3-star. So big steps up for them. That's 2.9, sorry, Mane. He's just shy of 3 mil. And it seems that that one Liverpool fan might be right. He might be the best football player in the world. No, he's being serious. Yeah, 5-star skills has definitely made the community like that card a lot more than even the striker card that he had. I think that is his road to the final.
Definitely.
I believe the 5-star skill one more expensive because people love the skills. Anyway, that is not the only team of the season that's come out. This is being recorded on the Sunday, so fresh out today we've got the EFL TOTS, which is mainly headlined by talking of players that went up in terms of skill moves. A 4-star version of Aleksandar Mitrovic. There is also a new 93 Harry Wilson that sadly didn't get the skills upgrade. He did get a weak foot upgrade, but he's no longer 3-star, he's 3-star, 4-star. There's a reason that card's only worth 180k though. It's still a good card statistically. I've been enjoying using some of the lower rated ones. So I tried out the right back, I tried out the centre back that's Scottish. I think that was Naismith and Spence. But the two ones that I've put my focus to is Dominic Solanke and Andreas Weimann, which those two cards feel really good. They may have been in Div Rivals in Div 3, but they just tore people apart. It caused 2 rage quits in the first half. I think that speaks volumes. And considering I hate 3-star skills normally, I'm learning to cope with them.
I haven't actually checked them out. Let me just have a look at the stats.
I'm sure there'll be 2 that you'll be happy with, though, Brad, because there is now an actual good right back in Spence, as I mentioned him. And I believe there is possibly a left back as well. If not,
well, I got Mitchell in my red
screen.
picks.
Yes.
So he is currently my left back. He's taken over my squad foundation's low, who has done a service for my team, but yeah, come team of the season, needed to be replaced. And Mitchell does a job. He's okay, not bad at all. But yeah,
not
so
replacing him, by the way, he's Scottish.
3-star
and in
3-star.
League 2.
Oh, okay.
Adams.
I mean, he is surrounded by icons in my team, so it would be possible. But 3-star for Solanke, and you say it doesn't matter?
I didn't mind him. He scored with both his strong and weak foot for me. So long as you know how to do the lateral heel to heel, you're good in terms of 3-star skills these days. He was great at finishing. Unlike Bukayo Saka, that card, I didn't touch on it earlier, but that card and me do not get on, and it's not just because he's got an Arsenal badge. He just could not finish to save his life. Brad, who's not got much time on this game, is considering doing it. I have put him way far off from that.
Yeah.
I'm not letting him waste the Christ knows how long it took me to get that done. I think it's 2 hours. Because people weren't quitting. It wasn't a golden goal game mode, turns out. Or it was for some people. But I just got very bad rolls.
I think the problem with Saka is probably composure for a team of the season card being 82. I know people go into... I dive into stats anyway, but I know some people be like, the stats don't matter. But you'll be surprised when you compare to a lot of the other team of the seasons. 82 composure, and I think he's got 85 reactions. Can be a bit of a killer, especially when you're in front of goal. Like, if you look at some maybe your favourite cards most of the time, striker-wise at this sort of stage of FIFA, majority of the time, the composure will be mid-90s, and you will notice a difference. It's like when you go from using a mid-90s card to using the 85s or something in objectives, you notice a difference in the quality in the cards. And I think that is what it is. It's like, it's just missing that little bit of something, and composure's probably it.
I mean, Andre Silva for me has got 87 composure and 89 reactions, so I can feel the difference straight away. It's honestly, I kid you not, when trying to get that footage, I did just sub on Andre Silva and he scored a couple times. I wish I was capping. It's on stream. It just doesn't make sense. It's unhealthy at this point.
Now, this is an interesting question I just want to quickly ask you guys. Now, if you're using a card that normally has a high rated card, so say like Saka, who's normally A, but he also has special cards. If you've used that special card and you did not like that special card, do you think you would go on and not like that team of the season card, or do you think another later card can be turned around and change, and you can then enjoy that player in game?
I think
I'm trying to think of someone.
There's going to have to be other factors here, because say for instance, if it's because I didn't like him because they had a 2-star weak foot and it seemed to be noticeable, so say like Inaki Williams for instance, Like say if I didn't get on with him having an upgrade because he's still got 2-star weak foot, but then he got a 4-star weak foot upgrade, then I'm probably going to love it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe if they don't necessarily do too much drastically to correct a card, then I guess.
Then probably not, because I think a lot of things for me are like body type and things which then tend to not change, obviously. So, and I think those things are so noticeable.
I'm trying to think of an example because I feel I've definitely had a situation like this, and I can't remember who it was with. A lot of the cards I like, I've naturally got on with, or they've been such a big upgrade that was non-special. So Taliso to normal Taliso, like that's such a big upgrade. Of course, it's going to make a difference. I'm trying to look through the Bundesliga because that's where I've mainly spent my years on this. I say years, months.
I suppose I could have a look if I was trying to see like if I used Appenda's normal card, because obviously he's a massive super sub for me, but that is a 71 to an 85. You know, that's quite a difference. Yes. You would expect a significant difference in card. They probably feel like completely different players.
Do you know what? I have someone that fits the mould for this. I did struggle a lot with normal Kingsley Coman.
Oh, okay.
The 86, but then I got the Winter Wildcards and that one hit the ground running for me. So Kingsley Coman's my example of a player that I didn't like at all. His stamina was awful. His finishing wasn't there. And then I suddenly used that special version. And I'm pretty certain they even fixed the stamina on him.
They fixed the stamina? And also didn't they up the weak foot?
I'm trying to find the card now just to double check. I'm seeing the informs. Where's it's the 89? There it is. They did give him 4-star, 4-star, high medium work rate, 87 stamina made it usable. But it was just generally one of those quick breakaway cards that you needed. And I only had this about 2 months. Whenever I think it was a year in review. It wasn't even a year in review. It was the wild. Well, it was year in review. The wild card pack,
right,
was when I got him. So that card, but a lot of ones that I normally don't like. So Danny Olmo, as much as I love using Leipzig players, Danny Olmo for me never clicks. I don't know what it is. I try and make him work and he just doesn't quite perform.
We're gonna go over to the top swaps. Top swaps? TOTS.
Top swaps. That's a different
okay.
game altogether.
Right. Yeah.
I'll grab a different shirt.
Yes. So I think some people might have seen this come in, that they were going to do another swaps with Team of the Season. So we have now got that. It's mainly themed around, well, the packs wise, it's minor leagues and then Premier League and Bundesliga. They haven't put any Team of the Season players in it though. They put in 2 icons, which are Balak for 17 tokens and Moments Figo for 22 tokens. So bit of an interesting twist on it, because we normally see promo players around that promo, but I'm guessing because they can't really put in a Bundesliga player because that might spoil like the Bundesliga team of the season. But we do have the Premier League one for 10. You can get a player pick for Premier League team of the season for 19. Then you got your usual packs, and then you get Saudi League, EFL, Eredivisie, or choice of community TOTS between 3 and 5 tokens. 25 tokens in total, which goes up until the 17th or something like that, from what I was reading. I don't know when the SBCs go live. I couldn't find a date on that. I don't know whether you two know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
Not as standard. I haven't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can't give you the definitive answer on that, I'm afraid. But what do you two think about the look and how they've done these team and season swaps in terms of the selection available within it?
Well, I know I'm not taking the Figo for all the tokens. There's the usual easy packs that you can get, which is always nice. Nice little way to fill that up. I'm pretty certain I saw a couple things I liked in there. I think it was about the 14 tokens. 14 or 15 tokens are the ones I liked. I'm trying to find the actual listings for what they are now to bring them up. This is really well prepared for me here.
14 is the Prem or Bundesliga, and 15 is the 84 plus times 25 like you get in Icon Swaps.
I mean, from what we've seen, I've only seen one shocking 84 times 25. Like, one dreadful one. And that was, I think, earlier today. I watched a stream that opened one that only had Unistal in, and an Inform, and then the rest were gold res. So...
I have seen a worse one today.
You've seen a worse one than Interest Gone?
Yeah,
Hit me.
top player was gold to Stegen.
Yikes.
Yeah, so... But it is, like you say, it is an anomaly. There has been every single one other than that I've seen have had TOTS, and in fact I've seen a few that have had at least 2 TOTS in. So, yeah. And if not, you still tend to get like a high-rated Inform alongside the TOTS that you get anyway. So I don't think it's necessarily the case for all of them. But I'm a little bit when I say disappointed, I just think Figo is not bad. I think he's not a bad player. Balak, I'm not sure he's that desirable. So when they put sort of moments icons in there now, bearing in mind all the SBCs we've got available to get icons, I just think they're a little bit maybe off the pace. I get that we're getting a moments icon for free, essentially, or for your time, but I just think, I don't know, I'd rather send someone a little bit more usable, but it is what it is. I'm gonna take with however many tokens I get, and I'm not going to be able to sort of break my back to get tokens. I will be just taking packs to try and get more team of the seasons when, you know, maybe Ligon comes along, because I think realistically it's probably the only one I'm going to open a fair few packs for again. So
that's completely fair. I'm trying to think what I was going to recommend. There is some in the things like Saka. I think it's only for like playing 6 games, I think it is. So it might even be 4. But it's doable stuff on each of them.
yeah,
So far, there's the one they gave you for free, the cheap SB or cheapish SBC if you can get it done. I know it took GH a while, and that's not even me trying to rip into him.
shots fired already.
It's not even ripping into him. He said it. He said it himself. It was a bit of a sort of a struggle.
I'm looking forward to seeing the one in the pack that is inevitable.
Do you think they should have maybe swapped the Saudi League TOTS pack for maybe a alternative instead? Because I can't imagine many people probably wanting to go for that one.
Not unless they stick an insanely usable Brazilian beast in there that everyone's going to want and give it a massive boost. But even then, you're kind of still looking for one card, aren't you?
Yeah.
Let's go be in there, like
yeah,
just said.
He's going to be the top card, isn't he?
Trying to think of other members of the Saudi League, and I can think of Al Sommer.
Yeah, there's not a lot, and so I think I agree. Maybe that could have been replaced with another icon or something. I just don't think that's going to be that sought after. But it's good. Yeah. The thing is with those though, it's good for when, like, so not everyone's gonna have a lot of packs that they've opened or necessarily have been lucky enough to get team of the seasons. I mean, the pack weight does seem quite high. I can't help but think it's because of prices, because the market obviously is in the mud. So I think pack weight definitely changes on players that are only worth 70, 80k. But that obviously some of those players are usable still, or people will want to use, such as, you know, Bruno Fernandes, who's only 100k, and things like that. They aren't going to want to submit them into the team of the season SBCs. So I think in that sense, getting the Saudi player high rated enough to be able to put into the ultimate TOTS SBC when that comes, or the Premier League TOTS SBC when that drops as well, is you know, it's quite handy, I suppose, having a free card.
Within reason, I mean, people will still, if Bruno Fernandes is font price, people will still send Bruno Fernandes into pack. It's the law of the jungle. People might even invest in him for that, depending on how good a pack comes out. I think personally, I'd have expected more of the top one not to be Figo, but to be an icon pack of some kind, just to try and drive up some people to actually take that.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to take that. previously I would take something high from that if it was a unique player. So I considered it when it was a Via. I considered taking the big player there instead of the fodder packs. In the end, I didn't. If they made that, say, an alright icon pack, some people would do that just for content. Some people definitely not being this guy. That's definitely not my MO. I mean, Brad would love to do that. He loves an icon pack.
I will segue that currently on to a couple of new things that are going on with FIFA. And yes, one of those is, as of tonight, there is a 92 plus Icon Moments pack. Now, anyone that has followed me through this year so far will see that I have opened pretty much most of the packs and I've not had the best luck. Although Mers would disagree with the last one, getting Henri, that was a big dub. He is still in my team, Mers, I should let you know that. He is actually still, I haven't replaced him yet, so he's still doing okay. He's still managed to hold his place enough. But they have released the 92 plus moments. Now for me that's annoying a little bit because I sunk my fodder from my Premier League team of the season pack opening into the Icon Moments upgrade. And lo and behold, as soon as that expires, we get the 92 plus moments upgrade. So probably should have done that. It's 288 squads, I think one with a team of the week.
Whilst Brad's grabbing that SBC, I will say 92 is always the convenient number. It includes a lot of players still that aren't exactly desirable. Once it starts hitting the 93, 94 region, that's when you're getting into the upper echelons. But you still got players like Vieri, Cech, Trezeguet, Closer, Hierro, Van Nistelrooy, Riquelme. So many. These are all just the ones that are sub 200k.
Yeah.
You've got so many of them still available that you think it's a big risk at that point.
Yeah, so
what's the price on the SBC at the moment? Do we know?
I'm not sure what the price is on the SBC, but I can see that it basically is an 86 rated with 65 chems. They've kept the chem low down again, which is good. An 87 with a team of the week, an 88, and an 88 with a team of the week. So I think the previous one was 86, 86, one of those with a team of the week, an 87 and an 88, and the 88 didn't need a team of the week. So there's a team of the week needed in the higher one. So value-wise, I don't think it's going to be far off what it was.
I've looked it up. It's about 600k.
Yeah, which is I think what it was roughly. I think it was it was about 550. So I don't think it is much more in value for that little bit extra rating. But yes, like you say, it still does include some pretty stinky icons. Inevitably, if I do open some packs within the next 6 days and get some fodder, then I'm probably going to add it to my already Icon Moments pack that is currently sitting in my store ready to be opened at some point, because I just seem to be a sucker for them. But the other big thing that has come from EA is they have opened up an online season and online friendlies for cross-gen gameplay. Now, it's something that we're all excited about because I think it's been a long time coming. They're a little bit behind the times with cross-gen. I can't help but think that that's probably because their servers are in the mud most of the time anyway, so they probably refrained from this just because they knew that basically the world would end as far as their game and their servers would go. I still think that's probably likely to happen when it comes to Ultimate Team. However, I did play a game against a friend who was on Xbox. The gameplay was smooth as anything. He chose PSG, so I played with Liverpool because I think they're the only other. That's the only thing negative about it at the moment, is just being able to just use normal teams. But I thought I'd use Liverpool because it was the best I could get going forward as maybe an equivalent to Mbappe, Neymar, and who else did he have? Mbappe, Messi. So yeah, I beat him 6-3. I felt the gameplay was really smooth. Felt like a completely different game. Everything was fluid, but obviously currently it's just normal teams on the servers with hardly anyone on there using that mode, because everyone will still be like, well, I'll play Ultimate Team until they do anything else with it. I've got a feeling maybe we'll get, like they did with the preview packs last year, I've got a feeling that maybe right at the end of the year, for maybe the last 4 weeks or so, they're going to launch it into Ultimate Team. What do you think?
I personally, I'm agreeing that they're going to expand it, because we know that they've been planning this for FIFA 23 for a while now, and I think this is just like the first step in trying to test it out, make sure it works and it all goes according. Like, people can invite people can send friend requests to each other and stuff. And then once they've got that initial bit going, they'll probably expand it to Ultimate Team. And then they'll probably then expand it to Pro Clubs. And then they'll probably... When I say Ultimate Team, I do mean just friendlies at the moment. Not like when you play in FUT Champs, they suddenly will play another person from a different console. I think that stuff you're not going to see until the new FIFA. I think at the moment it's just going to stick to friendlies or something like that. Now, whether it will be brought to pro clubs before FIFA 23 is again another sort of situation, because 11v11 sort of situations across platform, that is a very hard logistical situation, especially if you're trying to get an Xbox user and a PlayStation user to be on the same team as each other and get them all into the club at the same time as each other. So it'd be interesting to see how it works. But the one question I posed, because you don't have to have a unique gamer tag like you do when you're Fortnite. You have to have this Epic Games account to be able to, and then you invite the Epic Games account rather than inviting the PlayStation account. So Luke, who plays on Xbox and PlayStation, has the same gamer tag on both consoles. So it's like, how do you differentiate between who's who, like, with the gamer tags? Because I would have thought you have a unique ID like you do with Fortnite, but at the moment you can apparently just happily invite by gamer tag and find them. I haven't actually checked myself when trying to invite. All my viewers have invited me rather than me finding my viewers, friend requesting them, and then so I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, so they have a PS logo or a different logo.
Yeah.
So I did. Yeah. So you can't see it obviously whilst in Ultimate Team, but if I'm now on the main screen, and you guys show as PlayStation, and the guy that I played is online at the moment, currently on FIFA on his Xbox, and it is his. It's got a different view. It's like instead of a PS, it's not got like the Xbox emoji. It's got like a screen with a controller, like a generic looking screen and controller icon.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did notice about it, so his gamer tag, I won't say it, but his gamer tag is followed by 4 unique numbers afterwards, in like a hashtag.
That'll do it.
And on here, it is actually part of the gamer tag.
Okay.
So that's the unique fact that it's going to tell the difference between
I think so.
LAJS and LAJS.
Yeah, I think so.
Xbox and PSN.
Yeah, so I think the 4-digit, like, like when you have in Discord, your name and then there's like a digit code to go with it. I think that's how they're going to differentiate on there. So it does look like they have at least already thought about that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right then.
But I'm in agreement with you. I think that, they won't do it for champs. They won't do it for TOTS. They might introduce it for pro clubs, and they'll maybe do it for friendlies. I don't necessarily mean, I think, live FUT friendlies. I think they'll just do it for friendly modes just to see what that's like. My thing that I wonder is, and it's I suppose this is kind of unlikely, but not necessarily if you're actually playing against people that have always played together on a console like Xbox. If you go into, I wonder if when you go into a pro clubs, will you notice a difference if you're playing on a team that's got a mixture of PlayStation and Xbox against a team that's fully on one console? I wonder whether there'll be like any sort of delay or fluidity more to them than there will be for your team because of the cross-gen. Like, we're talking milliseconds, because it's, the servers are going to be good enough to run the game, so they've got to be good enough to have you all in there. But I just wonder whether there will be some small slight benefits in movement for that. But, it's one of those things. Time will come, we'll find out, and I'm sure we'll all have something to say on it on a future podcast.
Well, when you say about the connectivity, I play Kofta, and previously when I've played Kofta, because he's in QA, there's always been delay or
Okay.
connection quality issues between me and him. But when playing on the cross-platform, it was smooth, like you said. So maybe, but like we don't know how smooth it's going to be until FIFA 23, or will they expand it to Ultimate Team and stuff. So for the Pro Club side of things, there might not be a benefit from having a full same console. There might be. Maybe EA have finally brought some super mega servers off of Amazon or something.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Here's hoping indeed. So, what we got this week, obviously, is This Week in Football. With it being on a Sunday, we don't have any sort of thing to read off of what we believe's happening. So, we're just going to have to go by. So, this week, obviously, the European Cup games have been played out. Some dramatic games in there. Villarreal looked to cause a brief scare to Liverpool, but then they finally resumed normal service with a comfortable, in the end, 3-2 win on the night. You've then got the City Real game. That was drama on top of drama. I don't know about you guys. Seeing City up in the 90th minute by 2 goals on aggregate, you'd think they're through.
Yes.
You'd think they're home and dry. But instead they then fell. They fell in the end, and Benzema has made Real get to a final. Well, Rodrigo's the one that actually got them to extra time, but Benzema this season's been actually outrageous.
Yeah.
Credit to the man.
I've got to admit, as someone who actually... I said that I thought that if they got past PSG in that second leg, that I felt like Real Madrid would win the Champions League. After the start of that second leg against Man City, I even thought, oh well, my prediction's not coming true, but hey, they gave it a good go. Until I basically only watched it on the phone, like on Flash Score, watching the goal contributions come through. And then when I saw that it was going to extra time, I was like, I've got to watch this. I have to. Like, how can I miss out on this, what is going to be this spectacle of a game? And literally as I tuned in, Benzema went down for his penalty. And as soon as that happened, I thought, they've won. They've won this. I can't believe it. Like, somehow Man City have not been able to hold it up. And I hate to use this term, but I feel like they're really bottle jobs now when it comes to the final important part of Champions League. Like any other time, you'd fancy them to see out a 2-0. Well, what they were 6-3 up on aggregate, weren't they?
No, but there were only 2 goals up on aggregate, weren't they? So it was either.
There was 4-3 in the first leg, wasn't it? And then they were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
On
They went 1-0 up on the night.
1-0 up on the night.
It was Mahrez goal late on, then two goals from Rodrigo,
Yes.
and then Benzema next time, so it's a 3-1 on the night.
Yeah, so two goals up, and that was, I think, the 71st minute Mahrez scored, something like that.
Yeah. I believe it was the 71st. I
felt like, yeah, at that point, how can you in 19 minutes lose this? But sure enough, we saw from Real Madrid what we saw in the game against PSG, where they scored 2 goals in. No, the game against. Yeah, it was a game against PSG.
It was against PSG.
Yeah, where they scored 2 goals in less than 2 minutes, and what a sub Rodrigo was for them.
Mers, your thoughts on sort of City's pedigree at this point?
I mean, to be fair, Champions League in the later stages has always been kind of an unpredictable game. Like, thinking back to when, like, Porto won the Champions League, like, no one ever saw that come in a million years, but it happened. And when Liverpool and Real Madrid played against each other, again, probably a lot of people probably wouldn't have predicted that as a final. And then, again, the final was very unpredictable, mainly because of, like, certain dramas and issues that happened during that game.
Yeah.
But I think it's why you like to watch Champions League at later stages. It's the same with, like, watching any major tournament, to be fair, when it gets to maybe the even maybe the quarterfinals as well. that unpredictability of certain teams just being able to just do something in a matter of moments and everything just flips on its head and just changes direction.
As someone who's experienced it with their own team, I can attest to that. That's the Tottenham lived on the edge almost like Real Madrid did to get to the final, and it's why I sort of think Liverpool winning this. It's the story of Real Madrid this tournament has been the story of Tottenham in that tournament. Tottenham, we at least comfortably won one game that season. Real Madrid have not won one tie comfortably.
No.
They struggled against Chelsea, struggled against PSG, struggled against Man City. At least we got past Dortmund when we got there. But we limped past City, ironically, with them getting a last-minute goal disallowed, etc. The roar at the pub at the time was absolutely amazing. Then you get the game against Ajax, literal last-minute stuff, and then you get to the final and it's over in a minute.
That was exciting, the Ajax finish. Very exciting. Lucas Moura, wow.
Life peaked as a Tottenham fan. You know you don't win trophies, so you just get moments instead. So
Yeah.
that was a definite moment.
Yeah.
But there's so many stories like that, and I just don't. I don't know. It's not that they don't have the mentality. There's still they've got almost like an aging squad at this point. Real. It's a fairly, dare I say, and this will probably be disrespectful. Not lackluster, but average Real Madrid side at this point.
There's definitely
It's
room
got a
for
mixture of
improvement.
there's definitely room for improvement. It's a young side in certain areas, a young experienced side, where Dani Ceballos is still coming off the bench, but then they've still got the midfield from about 5 years ago that are all in their mid-30s. So it's Benzema's in the form of his life, credit to him, but outside of that, you look to it and say, how's Vinicius Jr. going to get on against Trent? I know Trent normally gets, look, he's really bad defensively. I don't agree with that statement. Trent may well be the weakest of the Liverpool defence, but that's not a scathing thing at all.
No, and he offers so much more, doesn't he, than that?
Exactly.
Like, what he is to them. If you are now a pistol to your head to pick a decision and also maybe a scoreline for the final, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking the parallel opposite of last time, 3-1 Liverpool.
Mers?
I'm going to say a 2-1 scoreline. I think it's going to be a very close game. And I'm going to say Liverpool sort of situation, because I think with Liverpool, the use of substitutes this season, it's like unparalleled. Like, they somehow, if they're like, for instance, what was it when they brought on Luis Diaz against Villarreal? That changed the second half and basically gave them that position in the final. And I think they've done that so many times. And with the Luis Diaz at the club now, like, they can start Jota, then bring on Luis Diaz, or they can start Luis Diaz and bring Jota to just like basically change the dynamic of the game in the second half. And I think it will go to Liverpool.
I personally have to obviously back my prediction, but I wouldn't put it past this to be again another exciting fixture that involves Real Madrid. I feel like maybe a 1-0, like a cagey kind of start, and a 1-0 to Liverpool maybe fairly early on, and then I think Real Madrid might sneak it to get it to extra time, and then even maybe take it in extra time before it even gets to penalties. But it also wouldn't surprise me if this went all the way. I think it's going to be close. I don't. There's just something about them. Like I know, like, I'm with Luke. I think, Casemiro, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, like, that is, in anyone's books, an aging midfield. Like, obviously they've got Camavinga coming through now. They've got Valverde, but really them guys aren't seeing minutes over the veterans at the moment. So, in that, I mean, Camavinga is, but he played phenomenal in that game. He was impressive. But I just think there's something going on. There's some magic about Real Madrid this year, and I feel like it might just be enough to see them somehow come out of this with a victory. Everything on paper, and if I was honestly being told, right, you've got to put your actual money, your own physical money, on somebody to win, then I'm picking Liverpool. But I just feel like I don't know, there's something about them. There's an aura or something at the moment, and I feel like the way their fixtures have gone, they're just destined to somehow get this result.
Yes, I can see that. I'm trying to think of teams that have had that aura about them, and I can only think of, say, Ajax in that year. That how often in the Champions League do fairy tales happen? Yes, you got the Porto example, but outside of that, Liverpool's the only other one that springs directly to mind for me as sort of the 3-0 down Istanbul. I just don't see it happening. And you mentioned Camavinga. Camavinga's had some incredible appearances. He's changed the games when he's come on as a sub, not just against, say, not just like against Man City. He did it against PSG as well, if I remember. And I feel he even possibly had a substitute influential appearance against Chelsea. He's been very good off the bench, has Camavinga. I'd be interested to see him start a few times, honestly.
He's starting today, but that's obviously a league game against Atletico Madrid, and they are currently 1-0 down to Atletico Madrid.
Terrible. Sack him off. Bin him off.
yeah, so it's his fault. It's his fault. He's rubbish. Put him back on the subs bench. But that's like what we said, didn't we? Coming into the final, we said, how often is it that you get the predicted result? We said, how often is it that, you know, the likelihood is that Man City and Liverpool will meet in the final? And surprise, surprise, although it took something spectacular, it's not the final we have. So who knows? Who knows what can happen? It's going to be exciting, though, I think.
Yeah, I've been saying that to people all the time. We never get the guaranteed final. The closest we could get was PSG Bayern maybe being a predicted final, but you'd have said Liverpool or City.
Yeah.
What most years you'd have predicted El Clasico as a final, and hasn't happened. Something about the Champions League. The two favourites do not normally make it through. There's something about the fact they want to change it. Disgust me. Why, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yes.
But I don't know why they're so obsessed with, we want to include the historical figures, we want to make more games, so it possibly goes to a 10-game group stage and things like that. It's like, no. Just leave the Champions League alone. It's doing perfectly fine. Look at some of the drama. This Real Madrid side, by the way. I pointed this out the other day. This team lost to Sheriff.
They did.
This is the same team that lost to Sheriff. So, at the Bernabeu, no less. So, up and down to say the least. But Carlo Ancelotti, with the career move of his life, dodges a bullet of a relegation battle, which we'll get onto in a second. And instead is now in a Champions League final.
Yeah.
I can't think of many better career moves this season, at least.
I've just realised though. Against Sheriff, Camavinga started. So So there you go. He's trash.
Bin him off, as I said. Bin him off.
Yeah, he won't be starting in the final. That's for sure. Not if they want to win.
To be fair, I think the midfield battle will be very important.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know whether I can trust that Real team to win the midfield battle against Thiago. You'd expect Thiago, Fabinho and Henderson? Something along those lines. Maybe Naby Keita for one of them.
It'd be what you said.
More than likely. I know Girk, viewer, sort of not the biggest fan of whenever Fabinho and Thiago are in the same midfield. But you'd expect it to be something along those lines.
The thing is,
do you see them in the midfield battle?
They are the three midfield. They are the three midfielders that played against Tottenham. To segue on to maybe another thing that happened this week. So obviously, in talking about the potential, obviously, of any slip-ups, maybe that happened. That was the midfield: Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago. So do you think they're going to change it a little bit? Do you think that maybe Naby Keita, who came on for Fabinho in that game, will get a start in the next game? Have they got how many games have we got before this happens?
I think 4. We got the FA Cup final for Liverpool. You've got 3 in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
So there is 4 games. So there is basically some football to be played, including an FA Cup final, to be able to really find out what is going to be that midfield, isn't it, for that game?
Yeah, pretty much. You'd expect you're not expecting anything drastic. We're not expecting any Pep Guardiola sort of I'm not going to run any holding midfielders against Chelsea style decisions this year. At least that saved Pep that embarrassment again. But at this point, moving on to the Tottenham game, you might see Real Madrid adopt a similar strategy. It seems to have worked, and I'm doing sort of finger gestures at this point, somewhat well against Liverpool, is a low block. Spurs implemented a low block. Everton did to some success. Not to fully success, let's be honest. Everton capitulated by the end of it. But maybe you see Real Madrid run a low block in this final against Liverpool. Spurs, depending on how you look at that game, I didn't watch this. Mers did, so Mers is actually probably the expert on this subject, as I was streaming at the time and getting fed information. From what I understand, Liverpool didn't create too many chances, mainly because it was against the low block. They created a lot of chances, but not quality chances. Spurs hit the post, Liverpool hit the bar with Van Dijk. It was not the most entertaining game. You wouldn't expect it with a low block being implemented, but a draw's probably somewhat a fair result.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, Tottenham might have got unlucky with Liverpool's goal because it was a deflected goal in that instance. So you could say Spurs could have potentially have even gone away with 3 points rather than just a single point. But I think it's just how Spurs have maybe set themselves up against the bigger opponents. Like, say, how Arsenal would. Which is, you know that you're not necessarily better than them, right? So you just got to play that more cagey sort of affair. Sit back, absorb everything that is thrown at you, and then you counter-attack. Or just attack with fast attacks rather than maybe trying to do the slow build-up, because otherwise then just the opposition and the pressure and just will probably wear you down and eventually they'll win. This is why Man City are so good, because they're very good with their possession and they can handle. I think that's the probably difference between Liverpool and Man City is Man City are very good against the whole sort of cagey and sitting back teams because they're very good with their like quick passing and stuff like that. That's how Man City and Pep always sets up their teams. Whereas I find like this game, Liverpool were struggling. They had their opportunities, but they weren't necessarily always the best opportunities. Like they weren't well taken. They was just trying to find a way, and they just got a bit lucky. And maybe, like you say, Real Madrid could potentially do something similar. But I would personally say it wasn't that bad of a game to watch.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking here and seeing the statistics, and obviously hearing what you say surprised me, because it just goes to show that stats don't tell a full story here, because it looks like Liverpool absolutely annihilated Tottenham in the statistics. But again, like I say, it doesn't tell a full story here. But when you look at, I mean, the thing you've got to look at is, I suppose, the clinical nature of the fact that they had 22 attempts on goal, but only 3 of them had shots, or 3 of them were shots on goal. Whereas Tottenham may have only had 8 attempts on goal, but 3 of them were also on target. So you're talking, that's like, what, 37.5% or something like that for no, sorry, 37.5% on goal for Tottenham, but actually in percentage for Liverpool, that's terrible. That's like just over 10%. It's like 12%.
Yeah.
So that kind of the kind of clinical nature of their finishing is probably what costs them there. But yeah, I mean, it now sits as it stands with obviously City being 3 points ahead, but also 4 goals ahead in terms of goal difference. So in order for this to now be interesting again, I suppose you'd need a 2-0 win from Liverpool to a 2-0 loss from Man City. Do we see it happening again? What do we think? Is it done now?
It's not done till the end, is what I'll say. West Ham still have to play Man City, and West Ham can throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
So Newcastle today killed over and lost 5-0. That's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool don't, as far as I'm aware, have the most threatening run-in. So Liverpool can... It sort of reminds me of, how you say, 2014 with Gerrard, where they might end up working themselves into a Istanbul situation, where against Crystal Palace, I don't know if they actually got Crystal Palace in this run-in, but they ended up being 3-0 up, and then they tried to hit them for goal difference, and they drew 3-3, and that's what ultimately cost them the title. City have to fully lose a game here, and they're pretty much relying on West Ham for that.
Yeah.
Is that really going to happen? Probably not. But Liverpool have to play like it does depend on it. And City know that a slip up could ruin them. They can afford a draw now. That's the big difference. That's the buffer. Here. City, they can afford to draw one game. And at that point, you'd gladly take that draw against West Ham. It would make a nervy final day. Yeah. But they should ultimately have it.
Yeah, I think away at Southampton and home at Wolves are fairly given for Liverpool. Away at Villa are just a strange team at the moment. I feel like a potential on any given day to maybe upset a team, but does that any given day include Liverpool? Probably not. Just given the fact that the best team they've beaten in their last, well, let's go back to January. So maybe the best team they've beaten this year is probably, and this doesn't say much for obviously the season they've had, but it's probably Everton away. And we know at that time in January, Everton was certainly not the Everton they've blossomed into right at the end of the season. So, yeah, I think like you say, Liverpool in terms of their fixtures definitely got it easy. That West Ham game is huge for Man City, but if they do at least get a draw, then I think it's theirs.
Mm-hmm. What I'll say is I think it would just come down to hitting goals at that point. If City lose to West Ham, Liverpool I think still have a very good chance of getting that on goal difference. Liverpool have the opportunity to be ruthless and go for every game at this point. They've got nothing to lose. So the only thing is if Man City
get a draw, they actually will still be 1 point ahead.
Exactly what I'm saying. So Liverpool they've got nothing to lose. They can just
go all out.
Balls to the walls, send it.
Yeah. To rule out the goal difference is the thing that comes into play. Yeah.
Yeah, because if City won't just be maintained, they'd lose a point on goal difference at that point. So I don't see Liverpool dropping points between now and the end of the season. The only place West Ham's realistically where City will. No offense, I am kind of glad. So I just don't want the quadruple to end football. So the fact that Spurs are involved, and Spurs are such a weird team. We've taken 8 points off the top 2.
Yeah.
Yet we lost to Brighton and drew with Brentford, which is what's keeping Arsenal ahead in top 4 hunt. And heck, it might even be top 3 hunt for Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of a very lacklustre Chelsea, who managed to draw with Wolves in the last minute. Connor Cody, 97th, I believe it was.
Yep, for 6 minutes added on. 97th minute.
Something absolutely outrageous as that. That is a FIFA game. That's team of the season, Cody. You look at that card. Even he's surprised.
Yeah.
Even he's surprised at that goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting race for both ends of the table. A game that influenced both ends of the table today. Leeds Arsenal.
Yep.
Not as straightforward as you thought it would have been seeing that first half. I think you agree, Mers. It got a very, very, very stressful towards the end. You'd think Luke Ayling red card. You'd think 2-0 up. You're coasting through. One set piece and then there's a nervy end to the match.
I didn't get to watch the match because I was at work, but yeah, when I saw that it was 2-0 up within 10 minutes, I was like, yeah, okay, this is a nice easy one. Especially when I recently said, oh yeah, you look at Leeds' amount of goals they conceded, but the big reason behind it is the amount of goals they conceded in February, and more recent results have been like low scoring, and I was like looking at that 2-0 and I was like, okay, they're just basically trying to prove my statement wrong, Arsenal, and go and score like potentially like 3 or 4 goals against them. But yeah, 2-1, we got the job done, which is what I think Arsenal are kind of learning to have to do. Is just when you're in that sort of position, just play a dogged sort of style football, playing it tactically, so like getting your tactical fouls, time wasting, etc., just to get the result. And it's what Arsenal are starting to like do really well in some ways, is making sure that we hold out for these results so that we can get, fingers crossed, top 4 or even top 3, like Luke said, with Chelsea going potentially dropping quite a lot of points lately.
Yeah, I mean, they looked pretty comfortable out at third for a while, so yeah, they've certainly dropped the ball.
That sure looks like an easy cup final for Liverpool based off current form.
Yeah.
Obviously, form book goes out the window for a cup final, but because we've seen before sides like Wigan win the cup. Form doesn't matter. They got relegated that season. They won the FA Cup. So who's to say that Chelsea don't go and upset and give us a great game like they did with the 0-0 back in, I'm going to say, end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah.
So it is a thing that can happen. And talking of Leeds, that's put them in the relegation zone based off of goal difference. Which, do you think, based off of how Leeds have looked in recent times, do you think sacking Bielsa was the right idea? I'm getting this before it's a sort of a confirmed relegation or confirmed staying up, because they had a very brief purple patch under Jesse March when he came in, and now it's as you say, less goals conceded, but also less goals. So would you have said they'd have stayed up with Bielsa still in charge, or do you think they'd already be gone?
No, I would say that to be fair, I said this very at the beginning, that Leeds got found out with Bielsa's style of football, and they'll probably end up being in the relegation fight, and lo and behold, they're in the relegation fight, and I do feel like they're just going to end up back in the Championship. Probably not necessarily where they belong, but yeah,
the thing is,
got to go down.
The thing is, in terms of like looking at it from that sacking and the appointment, is if you actually look at the last 7 games, they beat Norwich, they beat Wolves, they drew against Southampton, they won against Watford, they drew against Palace. Now they are games that you could arguably have said that prior to the change of manager they might not have necessarily got them results from. Then it goes 4-0 to Man City, 2-1 to Arsenal, which you would have expected. You'd expect that of any bottom team, regardless of management change. So I think actually, looking at the 5 games where they've got points before that, because they picked up 11 points in those last 5 games prior to Man City and Arsenal, I don't think so. I think they've done well in trying to keep above the relegation zone. I just think that maybe they were always destined and
doomed,
and they got some help. They got some sort of this boost to try and give them a little bit of hope.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just sort of just being devil's advocate there.
Yeah.
In terms of, I do think Bielsa's sacking was inevitable at that point. I've seen some people say that he shouldn't have, and they might be better off, but that's just based off of the points they picked up compared to ones they've not. It's lunacy.
Yeah.
You do feel bad for them in terms of injuries, though. Bamford being their sort of key focal goal scorer last season, not being around for most of the season, left a lot of goals to make up for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the course, though, sadly, in a relegation battle. They're level on points with Burnley. Do you see Leeds staying up here, or are they the ones obvious to go down at this point? Because I'm pretty certain their games aren't the kindest.
Neither are Burnley's, to be fair, though. Away at Tottenham, away at Villa, and then home to Newcastle. So they haven't got the best games either. The team that have got arguably the better games to sort of now break away is, although they've got a game in hand as well, Everton's next game is against Watford, who are already relegated. So I feel like they've now picked up these massive points against Leicester and Chelsea at the right time to now pretty much say, look, we're not getting relegated. Whereas Burnley have got a few tough little fixtures. Leeds in their fixtures have got Chelsea, Brighton and Brentford. So Chelsea, on, like we say, hit or miss iffy form at the moment, and it is at home for Leeds. And then you've got Brighton at home, Brighton off the big win against Man United, and Brentford, who again have been unpredictable this year, have got points against teams they shouldn't have, and then dropped points against teams they shouldn't have. So I feel like everything's up in the air. But if I was to pick one now, again, pistol to my head, like with the Champions League, I would say I feel like Leeds are the ones going.
I think Everton have cleared themselves with a little bit of emergency panic.
Oh yeah,
it's finally set in. It finally set in for Everton that they might get relegated. They need to just start clicking. A gift from Chelsea and then a big result this week, and now they're looking a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, maybe it's the lack of protection in their wage bills if they got relegated.
I mean, we won't know. I doubt that Everton would have ever put relegation clauses in their contract.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty much it for the roundup outside of Europa League. We covered European earlier. Sadly, the team that I'm wearing the shirt of right now did not make it through. No Andre Silva, Europa League, as a result of Glenn Kamara and John Lundstrom.
Yeah, this is a fantastic result for Rangers.
Yeah, I'm still not happy for them.
No.
I'm still slightly resentful. And then they are meeting in the final Eintracht Frankfurt, who've gone one step further than they did in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Chelsea on penalties that year. They are through to the final against Rangers. Neutral ground. Who do you see winning that tie?
I'm going to say Frankfurt. They've probably got a bit more. Like, Rangers, especially the turn of the year, that, for instance, in the Scottish Premier League, they were in a commanding position. They let it slip and let Celtic take that. So, I think Rangers might be able to do it, but I feel Frankfurt, personally.
Brad?
I will firmly sit on the fence with this one. I think it could go either way.
And well, that's going to make it 3 different outcomes. I'm backing Rangers in the same way that I think Villarreal got so far in the Champions League. Their league form at the moment's not there, but they seem to be on the run. They're making their way through no matter the outcome, especially against German opposition. This will be their third German opposition they'd come up against, I believe.
Yep.
They beat Leipzig, they beat Dortmund, they got Frankfurt, who are sitting, I think, somewhere about 9th. Maybe a little bit higher now, I'm not sure. So it'll be a nice, interesting team that's going to win the Europa League. It's not going to be our insert UK team here, or not a UK team, but English team winning at someone's expense. So United, or it's good to see not an English team in every final, or even in more than one. Liverpool's the only side repping England this year.
Yeah.
Because Leicester fell at the second to last hurdle, sadly. Sorry, Venom. But they fell to Roma. Do we see anything other than the Jose Mourinho win against Feyenoord?
No.
Yeah, it's Roma all the way.
All the way, yeah.
Yeah, it's Mourinho in a cup final. I don't know the pedigree too much of the Feyenoord manager, so it's difficult to bet against Mourinho in a cup final. Imagine sacking him before a cup final. Who does that? Tottenham, you frauds. But yeah, you think it's got to be Mourinho, although considering the fact you've both gone for him, I'm just going to for no valid reason, back the underdog.
Fair enough. I think that one's, for me, is more clear-cut. I do think that will be Roma. The weird thing is when I say with Frankfurt, and I don't know why I feel like this, but I feel like if West Ham come through that, then I say West Ham. Yet Frankfurt beat them over 2 legs, so surely that means I should say Frankfurt. But no, I don't know. I feel like the fixture's just a bit different for some reason. Like you say, I think they've somehow managed to pull through against these German opposition, and so I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that one's dodgy, but yeah, I think I'm going for obviously against what I would bet on. I'm going for Real Madrid. I'm going for a
Fencing.
Roma in the Europa Conference, and then I don't know on the Rangers Frankfurt front. It could be very close.
Interesting. Joe, here's a question that I've just thought of. Do West Ham need a new left back? Because Cresswell has let them down in the Europa League this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's been dependable most of the time, but you don't get 2 red cards in your last 2 Europa League matches. Or 2, I think it might be 2 and 3. He got sent off against Lyon, and he got sent off early on, bear in mind, for the exact same kind of foul. It's a pullback, last man against Frankfurt. Surely he should be doing better. Surely he should have learnt from the first time and not be doing that. 10 men is a huge disadvantage when you're already chasing. I believe, was it 1-0 in the tie at that point? 1-0 in terms of that leg?
Yes.
So I think they were down by 2 goals. So the last thing you need when you're down 2 goals is then to just get sent off. That makes it even harder.
Yeah, maybe they've looked at Brandon Williams today when they've smashed Norwich 4-0. Maybe they could look towards someone like Mitchell. Might want to move to a bigger club.
I mean, it'd be a bigger club, but can you see him pricing away? Considering how much it took United to sign Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Oh yeah, no, probably not,
Palace.
because everyone's been trying to sign Zaha for 50 years. So, no, yeah, I don't know.
Palace are not going to willingly let him go without charging an exorbitant price because they don't need to sell him.
No, but yeah, I think they probably do need a left back. It is a weakness.
Yeah, I agree. They need a new left back.
I don't think it's their most pressing issue. I think they need to start looking at centre back. As much as I know Ogbonna's been injured for most of the season, Craig Dawson's been dependable. Craig Dawson's getting on. He's 36, and still starting for them. They need to. Issa Diop's not been good. Is he 32? Okay, maybe less so much centre back pressing there then, but they need desperately. If you speak to pretty much any West Ham fan, they want a striker.
Yeah, and
Antonio's goals have dried up this
dried up,
second half of the season.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I think if it had carried on in vain, then probably not. But yeah, they want someone prolific, don't they?
It's what I think. What caused the wheels to come off the wagon for them in terms of Champions League spot.
Because to be fair, if you one up issue for Champions League, and this has been discussed because obviously the Arsenal situation, with the fact that not having a top tier striker, you need like a top tier striker to guarantee to win, like maybe those closer games. Now, like looking at Arsenal, for instance, and our results this season, we've only drawn 3 games. Like how many more games could we have picked up points if we had a more prolific striker it playing for us, and same with West Ham, like, and maybe Leicester, maybe not quite so much necessarily up front, but again, like Jamie Vardy for Leicester hasn't quite been prolific as he has done since they've been in the Premier League.
Hasn't he been injured for a fair while though, Vardy, at points this season?
I think he has.
He's not been the same since.
I think he has had a fair bit of on and off injuries, but then he's properly getting on. He must be about 36, 37?
I was going to say 33, 34.
You never know. We could see a Gabriel Jesus in a West Ham shirt.
Maybe. I don't know if that's a rumour that's currently ongoing or what it is. 35 is Vardy.
You know, if he wants to be someone's main striker, then he definitely would be that for West Ham.
Would he? Obviously, Antonio you'd need to replace. Antonio's... Would you say he's a step up from Antonio based off the second half of the season? I'd say so, but...
I think in terms of quality, he probably is, yeah.
Also, a question we need to start asking is Raheem Sterling. What's going to happen with him?
Well, yeah. Is he? Do you think he'll go abroad?
I can see him going Newcastle, honestly. I can see him being the... not even chase money. I think he'll be... the only one that he could really afford to go to in the Premier League that wouldn't be considered a direct threat straight away, at least whilst he's there.
Yeah.
It would be someone they'd be willing to let him go to. He'd be the marquee transfer for them, and I don't think it'd even cost that much. Because I think he's only got a year left on his deal. I think he's a 2023 expiry date.
Right.
So City wouldn't, I think, charge Newcastle an exorbitant amount. He'd be their sort of person to build it around, but he plays the same position as St. Max, so he'd have to play on the right wing, or vice versa. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think based off of how many questions and answers we're already having between ourselves, I think a certain section awaits.
Yes. A certain Q&A section certainly does await. And there's not actually a lot of questions in the Q&A again for another week. So we will go through the 2 questions that we have got. So Venom has asked, favourite game you have ever watched? And Luke has clarified whether this was live or on TV. It can be either. So I've never been to a live football match myself, so it will have to be a TV. So, guys, do you want to chip in?
I'll let Luke go first, just because he may have a live game. So back in the day when I wasn't supporting a team as such, I was supporting a player. I loved Chris Sutton when I was a kid. So I followed him from Norwich to Blackburn. And then I lost touch with him when he went to Celtic. So I went to actually see him play at Norwich, and that was amazing for me because I was just wanted to see him play. But it's not a memorable thing, if you know what I mean. I don't remember the game. I just remember that feeling of knowing that I was going to go and see the guy that I seemed to idolise as a striker at that time as a kid. In terms of games though and TV, and this is going to be the old cliche, isn't it? Because I imagine this will probably be the same for everyone. It's England versus Greece with the Beckham free kick.
Yeah, I can see it. It's not mine.
Like I will never forget sitting there on the edge of my seat in my mum's living room watching that game, wishing for that free kick to go in, and then I'm not the biggest of football fans. Like I said, I don't directly support a team, but I jumped up out of my seat. You know, and that's, for me to have that kind of reaction, like, that was big.
Joe, interesting thing from that, if we don't beat Greece there, maybe Greece don't win the Euros in 2004.
Yeah.
Nice little one of those butterfly effect sort of moments.
Yeah.
But
I was in Greece when they won that, and that was madness, the way they celebrated. setting the roads on fire and all sorts. It was crazy.
I don't blame him. That's like when Leicester won the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think mine is going to be a Spurs moment. It's going to be an in-person moment, and that is watching what I didn't know to be, but Pochettino's last win. I got to watch it at the new stadium in person.
Nice.
So it was a 5-0 win over Red Star Belgrade in the Champions League. So I've been to a Champions League Tottenham tie, which I'm privileged enough to say. I mean, let's not talk about that year because that was the year that we lost 7-2 at home. But I wasn't there for that one, fortunately. So we got to see a bunch of goals. Saw my team win, and yeah, the manager I didn't want sacked. I got to see him technically as a send-off, I guess, but yeah, I didn't want him to go. I didn't think he should have gone. In fact, we've got Conte now. I'd say he's an upgrade, but yeah, I didn't agree with him being sacked for Mourinho.
As for myself, I personally am just going to say I don't really have a favourite football game. I think games that I've watched on TV, I don't tend to remember. I think watching something live makes it a bit more memorable, whereas I haven't been to a football game. I've been to rugby matches, I've been to American football matches, but I haven't been to a football match, mainly because Arsenal, A, is a bit hard to get to because I'm on the opposite side of the country, and second of all, it's expensive to go and see Arsenal play because they're one of the most expensive teams to go and watch in the country. I could go and watch Forest Green Rovers, who is the other team that I want to watch, but I suppose it's just finding the time, and I would like to go with my kids. I think that's probably what I'm more waiting for, is once my kids are a bit more older, taking them to a football match, which will then make it even more special and more memorable for myself. Yeah. But I think at the moment, the kids that are more interested in football are just probably just a bit too young to want to be taken to a football match for a long period of time, because they'll just get a bit fidgety and agitated and probably just end up wanting to leave early. So I just need to wait until their age where I can take them and know that they'll happily want to be there for the full 90 minutes plus. So yeah, sorry I haven't got a definitive answer, but if I was to pick one of the other things that I've actually seen live, maybe seeing Gloucester and Newcastle play for the first time, my first rugby match that I've ever saw when I was little and in foster care, and them taking me to see that. I think that is a bit special because of the fact that they took their time to make me feel welcome and stuff like that. So that to me is probably more of a cherished memory rather than necessarily made the game being memorable, but just that being a memorable thing for myself.
Yeah.
I would have fully expected you to say the World Cup final between Spain and the Netherlands.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't really remember I think the problem is I think it's so much easier to remember negative things than it is to remember positive things like that. Something for me has to be tied to emotions for me to remember, because I think the way that I've locked off a lot of my past memories and shit like that. So for me, I don't tend to hold memories much, unless it is properly tied to my emotions.
Fair enough.
I mean, deep.
In another sporting event, Ricochet's debut at NXT. Yeah, I was there for that. It was insane.
Okay.
The guy was ridiculous. Never seen anything like it.
This is wrestling, by the way. Now, Mers, this is wrestling.
Yes, I kind of understand NXT is wrestling. So
He'll be converted soon. Don't you worry.
He won't.
No, won't.
I've tried, and he tried. Bless him, and it wasn't for him.
It's just not for me.
So I'm not going to pressure him.
And is it?
Yeah, I showed him HBK versus Undertaker, and it didn't get him. So
wow, okay.
If that didn't get him, nothing will. That's me saying fair play.
Number 1 or
it's
2?
Not for him. I think I showed him 2.
Okay.
Because it was more about storytelling.
Yeah.
This is what he was interested in. That was the criteria he gave me, in storytelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went 2.
No. I just can't take it seriously enough.
And I'm going to just throw it out there as a guess. I reckon our second question might be from GH.
It is.
Wait.
He's asked, "What's the most embarrassing thing you have ever done?"
Oh God.
Now, it depends because like, is it thing that might be considered embarrassing? Because the thing is you might not necessarily find something embarrassing, but other people might find embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, the only when you said that, the only thing that springs to mind, and this is like something that I think isn't that uncommon, that probably has happened to several people, and it's probably the only suitable thing to say on podcast, is as a child I remember being in a pub once and going behind a guy and hugging him, thinking it was my dad, to the guy to turn around and it wasn't. I was quite embarrassed.
No.
Was convinced from behind it was my dad, and went and grabbed him from behind, like, you know, as you do, and yeah, he turned around, it weren't my dad, and I felt pretty embarrassed at that moment. But in terms of adult side of things, I can't think of anything in mind, and I think even if I do, yeah, it probably isn't appropriate.
Suitable. I mean, I've got something that I don't want to sort of divulge too much into, but it's going to be sheer shock value, and probably if this was a clip, this would be thumbnail, title, etc. I once drunkenly proposed to someone. So
Ooh, wow.
let's just get that out the way, and let's not elaborate too much on it. As I say, embarrassing. I did not. It was one that was sort of forced.
Did you have a ring?
It was weird. No, I didn't have a ring, and no, it wasn't planned, and no, I did not want to do it. It was something very weird at a pub that I tried to get my friends to just basically get me out of the situation, and they refused, pointed, and laughed.
Solid.
Yeah, I did not want any part of that, and was pretty much peer pressured into it. Yeah, that's dark days.
Mez?
See, the thing is things that can be considered embarrassing, I don't actually find embarrassing. Like, for instance,
Losing to GH.
being drunk at a pub and one of my teachers being there whilst I was underage, by the way. But yeah, didn't find that embarrassing. I've peed on a bus stop on a main road. Didn't find that embarrassing. Like, shat myself. Don't find that embarrassing. Some, you know, accidents happen and stuff. So, you know.
Risked it for a biscuit and lost. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, that
I think we've all been there,
wow.
but I've done that.
Sorry, I should say that was also with a job interview, by the way.
Oh,
so.
okay, that's a little bit different. Yeah, mine was just like on the walk to school, so I was on my own and had time to turn around and correct the situation. But yeah, that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I fortunately have not had that happen.
That's
I
made me
was
think of
potty
Step
trained
Brothers.
correctly.
Think of the scene in Step Brothers. Yeah.
I think it was the nerves at the end of the day, because when I get nervous, my tummy
Nervous
goes a bit
tummy?
upset.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Gotta go, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is. Other people would find it embarrassing, but I don't find it embarrassing. So it's a bit hard to answer that question when I don't personally find it embarrassing. I can freely just say it. If you like, I think to make it embarrassing, you wouldn't want to necessarily always freely admit to it. I guess you feel a bit sheepish when saying it, whereas I'm not feeling sheepish saying it. I'm just gonna freely say it because that's the kind of guy that I am.
Yeah. I think maybe if I delve and think a little bit more, I'll let you know in the Discord, GH. But off the top of my head, nothing outstanding at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not continuing with this. That's yeah. Dark times.
Yeah, Luke's got a wedding plan.
I don't. I really, really don't.
I mean, we could quickly answer the other silly GH question, which I brought up, but we can answer it on the podcast, which is, what would you rather do? Support Liverpool or delete your FIFA club?
Yeah, I support Liverpool. That's fine.
I mean, it depends on how you start this. It fully depends how you start this. Whether you start this as you convert from your current team, or whether you, if we want to play fully devil's advocate and make this realistic, if we say you have to give up supporting the team you currently do, and then support Liverpool, or delete your FIFA club, I think I would delete the FIFA club.
Yeah, I think
because as much as you'd think trophies, Tottenham, you're then just literally the definition of a glory hunter at that point, and that's something I would rather not be called. Then basically, I wouldn't want to suddenly be dubbed a glory hunter, and I'd rather start another RTG.
Especially in the current state of FIFA, because people have been doing 7-day RTGs and getting 6 teams anyway. So yeah. I can see that.
And from my standpoint, GH, you've already got an opportunity to delete my club if Liverpool win the quadruple. So I'm just going to leave out that. There you go. I'd rather delete my club.
That's something you must be grateful to Tottenham for, is that your club's got slightly less chance of being deleted now.
Yeah, it's a great one. I think me backing and putting a Mersgoth bet on to make sure. Liverpool to win that game yesterday. Helped.
So Arsenal getting top 4, right?
No comment. Right.
So Chelsea getting top 4 then?
Yeah, Chelsea are getting top 4. They're getting guaranteed top 4.
Love to see that. Spurs have to beat Arsenal for that to happen. Thank you for manifesting that.
No problem. It's fine. As long as we both get top 4, I don't have a problem with that. Don't have a problem with that. However, that is it for the Q&A this week. It was short, it was sweet, but if you want to get your questions in, please make sure to do so. Obviously, today we're recording on Sunday rather than the usual Monday, but normal business will be resumed next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, send in your questions any point during the week. It is fine. That is it for this week's episode. Brad and Luke, thank you for participating in the podcast as always.
Thank you.
No worries.
And we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
See you later.